Welcome everyone to the Warren Fleet conference call. At this time, all participants are in listen-only mode. Later, you will have the opportunity to ask questions during the question and answer session. Now, my pleasure to turn the conference over to Joseph. Please go ahead.
All right. Well, thank you, Luke. Hello, welcome everybody. Welcome to the mid-July tax day tomorrow conference call. You got myself, Joe Steffen, Director of Van Operations, and Ben Coffrin, Director of Safety. Ben, do you want to get us kicked off today with your comments from the safety corner?
Yeah, I think you said July. Didn't you mean April?
Optimistic. I say July. No kidding.
You're thinking baseball, man. You're thinking
right?
Summer weather.
All-star break.
Hey, we'll get there before we know it. But yeah, it feels like July out there today. Pretty nice weather. But we do have some impending storms our way here in a couple hours. But hey, it's been a few weeks since I've been on the call, so appreciate everybody tuning in and welcome back to those that are just joining us after being away like I was. Couple things I want to start out with our birthdays for this week. We got about 5 or 6 folks out there with birthdays this week. We want to celebrate Guillermo Salazar, Irma Valles, our ex-driver of the year, Mauro Rodriguez Jr., Jose Martinez, Enis Kanterovich, and Mark McCroskey. So happy birthday to you. And then we have some anniversaries, some long tenured folks that we want to recognize. Celebrating 19 years this week, we got Marcos Cabrales. Celebrating 9 years, we got Tommy Peterson, longtime operator. And then Safik Lakic, you're celebrating your 2 years, but you had 9 years prior to us. So to me, congratulations on your 11 years here at Warren Transport. And then Earl Wooten, celebrating his 6 years at Warren. So some pretty good names on there. I'm looking at those names and I see the years of service. And I also know that they got outstanding safety records. So those usually go hand in hand, don't they? The success of the operator is usually a safe and successful operation. So happy birthdays and happy anniversaries. We can't appreciate you guys enough out there. Couple of safety tidbits. You probably heard your fleet managers talk about it this week. It's construction zone time, right? They joke around that there's 2 seasons. There's not 4 seasons, there's 2 seasons. There's winter driving and there's construction zone season. So we are probably heading into that way right now. So be aware. I flew in from work last Thursday night into Cedar Rapids. And of course, it was delayed. So I got on the road about 12:30 at night, and I had a 40. Usually, it takes a 45-minute jaunt from Cedar Rapids to Waterloo, which I've done in my lifetime about 1,000 times. And there was a lot, just a constant light rain, and brand new blacktop, really poor light, poorly painted stripes, lane separators and the fog lines, and you got semis out there kicking up road, and then you got construction about halfway on that 380. And I tell you what, I have never felt so uncomfortable driving in my entire life, and that was just in a really light rain. But the construction cones, whoever laid those things should be fired because they were uneven. You're driving halfway on the shoulder, and that was just in a 4-wheeler. I can't imagine how you guys navigate some of these tight construction zones in a commercial rig. So the appreciation is there. I mean, I was going 62 miles an hour in a 70-mile-an-hour zone just because it was that unsafe. And again, I'm familiar with that road, but it was just so uncomfortable and somewhat dangerous, right? So I just, you slow down and you're aware of your situation. So construction zones, you guys have, a height advantage. You guys are in the cab. You can see that construction zone a lot farther ahead of than the 4-wheelers. So make sure you get in that proper lane well in advance. And please be cautious of the idiots that are going to cut in front of you. Okay, they're more important than everybody else, right? So let them in. All right, drive to protect life. Say a few words under your breath, but just this cat and mouse thing, we're always going to lose. So let these people in. They got better things to do, obviously, than getting. We have better things to do than getting in an accident with an idiot like that. Stay in your lane if all possible, right? Obey the speed limits. You're going to have a lot of stop and go traffic in these construction zones, and try to stay out of that, out of those danger zones. So be aware of those. We want to go accident free and during this construction zone season. Want to follow up on our following distance. Obviously, whoever you talk to, if you look at the Federal Motor Carrier Regulations, they recommend 6 to 8 seconds of following distance. Okay, if you are a believer in the Smith system, they require 5. Right? Nobody recommends less than 5. All right. If you're less than 5, you're never going to get stopped in time in case someone does something really, really stupid in front of you, like come to a complete stop. So have that mindset, 68 seconds, go slower than the flow of traffic. Okay. Drive to protect lives. We want you to get wherever you're going safely and out of harm's way. And then I just want to finish up our CSA reports looking fairly good this month. Really some lack of inspections, which is par for the course. They usually hit us really heavy in the first week of the month or the last week of the month. So I really want to make you guys aware. Next week is probably going to be hot and heavy. The next couple of weeks going to be hot and heavy for DOT. That 380 scale house yesterday was jam packed, according to one of my hours of service gals that had the day off, and she went to Iowa City with their son. So she said the chicken coops were full. So be aware of that. I just want to shout out to Betty Russell. You got a clean inspection today, level 1 in Minnesota. Nice job. Revis Brown, you got a clean inspection last week. So those help our CSA scores. They keep our out of service rates low. I tell you what, I was in a deposition prep last week, and one of the main things that they hammered me on, they don't talk about the good stuff, but they really hammered me on out of service rates being above the national average. They don't talk about the good stuff like our driver out of service rate. They look at our vehicle out of service rate, and they can really turn that into, a mountain out of a molehill if you speak, if you sort of speak. So we got to get that down, and that's checking your tire pressure, making sure your lights work, doing a thorough pre-trip and in-route inspection, and know where the scale houses are. Okay, pretty much anticipate that. Yeah, there's some random parts around the country, but anytime you come into a new state, be anticipated those chicken coops might be open, and that pre-pass that usually works all the time might have turned red on you because they weighed your load, or they measured the heat off your brakes and tires a couple miles down the road, and they found an anomaly, and they want to come in and check you out. So they're going to find that violation. Let us find the violation before they do. So again, thanks for the opportunity to talk to you. I'll turn it back over to Joe.
All right, thanks, Ben. I want to remind everybody, about 2 weeks ago, Jim and Lance had a call on Thursday, 2 weeks ago this Thursday, where they really spelled out a lot of things, and I thought they did a great job. It's about a 45 to 50-minute phone call, and so I'm going to send the number out that will repeat the call that they had that day for those of you who were unable to join the call, because I get it, not everybody can call at the same time. But the bottom line of it is, rates are growing. They're growing here at Warren Transport first and foremost. We've been seeing rate growth since the early fourth quarter of last year. But rates are growing, and we're really seeing some opportunities to finally be out of this freight recession. But they speak to it a lot more eloquently than I do regarding the things that we're doing in order to grow the rates and to be at the head of the marketplace on that, as well as some information for independent contractors regarding managing cost. How you're operating, how you're running your business, some best practices we've got from some contractors to run your businesses successfully. So I encourage you, if you haven't had a chance to listen to that, I'll send that out in the Qualcomms so that you have the phone number to dial in, and it'll play a recording of that call. Just put it on in the evening sometime when you're done with your day, or maybe at the end of your day you could put it on speaker. I'd encourage you to listen to what they have to say. There's some really good information there. It's hard work, but nothing worth doing is really easy to do. The next thing I want to do is just kind of review, that we're all on the same team here. So the way that we are evaluated is upon what you do. So we've got a new dispatcher here listening in the room with us here, and I had him listening in with new contractors as well. But I'm kind of going to reiterate what I say when y'all started here, which is maybe spin it a little bit. There's really 3 things that we got to do, and they're all related to what y'all do. So number 1, where it all starts, is safety. If you are not a safe operator, it's a partnership that's going to fail right from the get-go. It doesn't matter how much money you make, it's not going to work. It doesn't matter how much money you don't make, it's not going to work. It doesn't matter how great the communication, anything else. It's all got to start with safe operation of that commercial motor vehicle. And I think you all have an interest in being a safe operator. Otherwise you'd be with one of those chameleon carriers that's just jumping back and forth that are getting put out of business. So being safe and having accountability. So our accountability number 1 in this business is your safe operation and your safety. So that's number 1. That's where it starts. Okay. Once we establish that, then the next accountability we have is you, the drivers, have to earn a living. You got to earn a living for yourselves, because the only way this company makes money is by you delivering freight. That's how we get a job, is by having you earn enough money to support yourselves and your family. And then the third one kind of builds on top of that, is building it to be one of those long-term guys. Ben talked about being here 2, 3, 6, 10, 20 years, having that long-term relationship. Just like any long-term relationship, I've been married 16 years, and it's not all ponies and rainbows, but you build a long-term relationship, a partnership, where you believe in each other, you communicate openly with each other. That's how we evaluate ourselves, is how good of a job we do having you operate safely, how good of a job we do giving you the opportunity and getting you to execute on the opportunities to make money for yourself, and how good of a job we do of building that relationship so that you choose to stick around here for a long time. And we've been in business a lot of years. We've got a 4-digit DOT number. That's one of the things I like to mention. Not everybody does. For those that didn't see it, there's a segment on 60 Minutes about chameleon carriers, and it's really remarkable. I mean, you guys live it, you know it. People joke about it for probably 20 years about these types of things that are happening, but we're excited that it's finally this kind of backroom business that we've been fighting in this industry for decades. It's kind of coming out in the open, and there's some, with some changes with the FMCSA about enforcement and things they're looking to do. We're finally getting this idea that, maybe we shouldn't let somebody who just had 500 crashes in a year just open a new business and have 0 crashes now. Maybe that's a bad idea. But all that's to say, you're with the carrier. Warren Transport's been here a long time. We take safety seriously, and that's how we're able to stay in business to support you. So that's how we evaluate ourselves. That's all I wanted to end on, is how we determine whether or not we're doing a good job is all based on your outcomes. So with that, Luke, can you remind our callers how to register for a question?
Hi, everyone. At this time, if you would like to ask a question, please go ahead and press #1 on your telephone keypad, and you'll be placed in the queue in the order received. Again, to ask a question, please go ahead and press #1. Again, that's #1 for questions. We have a question from Revis Brown. Go ahead, sir.
Hello, gentlemen.
Hey, Revis.
I got a simple question. I know it's let's put it this way. It's a simple question, it's a hard question. Listen, what is Warren's take on deadhead miles? How many deadhead miles should be appropriate in this time, with the economy being like it's been, the fuel prices being like it's been? What is considered reasonable?
Well, that's a simple question with a complex answer. So the short answer I'm going to give you is there's always an emphasis on reducing deadhead. Our run rate has usually been around 12 to 13% on our van division. Since the increase in fuel prices in February, well, I shouldn't say February, I should say more like March, when they really started skyrocketing up, we've had a concerted focus within our dispatch, planning, customer service teams to reduce that. And so that's been reduced. It may not sound like much, but we've been hovering right around 10% versus 12%. Sometimes we've come in at about 9. I see today we're at 9.3% month to date. The last 28 days we're 9.5%. So the reason it's such a bigger focus when the fuel prices go up is because we are so aware about the fact that you don't get any fuel surcharge on those deadhead miles. I mean, yes, deadhead is priced into the business and priced into the loads that you're hauling, but there's no fuel surcharge on it. So if you're taking let's say you're taking a high paying load to a poor reload area, where 6 months ago, you'd probably just as soon bounce out of there and get to a better reload area. There's probably a little bit more focus on your part to go ahead and hold your nose and haul that cheap one out of there to cover some of that higher cost of fuel. Secondly, is regarding the cost of fuel, is having an aggressive fuel surcharge schedule with our customers. And so, Revis, I would encourage you. I know Lance speaks pretty. Lance and Jim both on that call a couple weeks ago. They spoke pretty intensely about that specific question. So I think that's something, not necessarily about deadhead per se, but about the increased cost of fuel and what we're doing revenue side and what things you can do cost side to help your business so you can be more profitable. But as far as what's a reasonable number, it varies depending on where you're at. If you're in a good reload area, reasonable numbers to say, I would have a load right here, no deadhead. If you're in a bad reload area, you might be looking at a couple 100 miles would be a reasonable number. It just varies based upon the market that you're in. I hope that answered your question for you.
Yeah, the only reason why I asked that question is because I just fueled up here in North Carolina. This is the most I've ever paid for a gallon of fuel, $5.98. And I'm headed to an area that I know we don't have any customers, and I was given a load offer for 202 miles deadhead. And then the load that I'm picking up is that I will pick up will go down to Joplin, Missouri, which we have no customers or nothing over there. So that requires more deadhead. So I'm just trying to figure out what would be reasonable.
Reasonable is the closest load that pays the best. And then be sure to utilize the fuel discount program. Just looking this morning at Love's in the state of North Carolina, the average retail price was $5.91, and the average discounted price with Warren Discounts was $4.62 a gallon. So hopefully you're at one of those places where you get a discount, because the average discount for a Warren contractor this morning at 6 o'clock at the Love stations there's 9 of them that participate in the discount program that we have in North Carolina. The average discount price was $1.28 per gallon. So be sure to utilize those discounts at any time, but especially when we're experiencing a period of high fuel prices. But then as far as where the reloads are, that's, I talk to your dispatcher about it. We get creative, especially, if there's not a reload, we're going to get a broker load. Broker market's a little better, a hell of a lot better than it was a year ago. So that's a good thing. But we've also developed a lot of new customers too.
Okay. And just for the record, my birthday was last week. Just for the record.
Well, happy belated birthday.
No problem. Thanks, fellas.
All right. Thanks, Travis.
And again, if you have any questions, please go ahead and press pound 1. I don't see any other questions.
All right. Well, thanks for being on the call today. We look forward to having another safe, productive second half of the month of April. Let's have no crashes, 0 crashes in the rest of April. Thank you.